Hey everybody, this is Dr. Maples. We're going to start on our secondary data analysis using our lecture series. And I want to take a moment to kind of point out that we've come full circle. We've talked about qualitative and quantitative approaches for data collection. We've even experimented through content analysis with some very simple secondary data analysis. Now, what I want to think about though is going back to statistically testing some other things that we might have worked on, like our surveys, for example. Survey data gives you all sorts of really cool quantitative data, but wouldn't it be nice if we could test our hypotheses statistically? So that would be something that we could do using this R that we're going to talk about today. And do note that secondary data analysis is going to be the focus for the rest of the semester for us. We're going to look at quantitative data and doing basic statistical data analysis. Now, I also want to put a caveat on that. I'm going to walk you through simple to the absolute essence of it, step by step, how to do everything. If you don't feel necessarily confident about doing stats, or maybe even you took 232, but you don't feel good about it, or maybe you didn't take Soc 232 at all, that's okay. I'm going to be here every step of the way to walk you through this. So if you have questions or concerns, you feel like you're getting behind, all you got to do is get in touch with me and I'll walk you through and make sure everything goes well. All right, so let's get started. Couple of things I want to tell you about what we'll do today. We are going to go through the basics of learning something called R in this lecture series. I'll tell you about R in just a moment. More importantly, we're going to learn to do some quantitative summaries of variables in R. We're also going to use R to do a basic independent samples t-test, or what I'll simply usually call a t-test. A t-test lets us see if being in one category or another might shape another quantitative score. For example, does being in an Appalachian county shape what percentage of people are smokers? That's a great example of a t-test. If we see that the mean of smokers in Appalachian counties is one thing and the mean of smokers in a non-Appalachian county is another, then we can look at the differences between those two and see if there's a relationship. And then we can move on. We've tested our hypothesis. So let's talk a little bit about R, because R is going to be an important piece for this puzzle. Now, R is free. I can't stress that enough. It's always free. Nothing we download will cost you a penny here today. This is a free open source programming language. Programming language means that this is something that we can use to run computer programs, codes, apps, and more. We're only going to look at R's statistical use, but I want to stress that R is something that can be used for lots of other stuff. In fact, it's one of our leading coding languages that we see for data analytics today, Python being another one. By the way, also in Java. These are some languages that I have some familiarity with, so if you have questions about them or you're interested in them, all you got to do is let me know. R is easy to use though. Compared to Python or using Java, R is far easier, especially for the stuff that we're going to do. And on top of that too, there are just thousands of R user videos on YouTube. I will say I'm going to make things absolutely simple. Some of those assume that you have a basic knowledge of R, so maybe watch my videos first, and then if you want to learn more, you can watch those. But there's lots of them out there. There's also free websites all over the place. And it's free. That's one of the big things about this is previously I used something called SPSS to teach this class. And that was great, but it was a point-and-click software that's kind of going out of fashion, so people weren't using it anymore. And EKU is also getting rid of it, so that made me need to change to something on a short notice. But also with R, it's free, whereas SPSS was not. To get SPSS for your home license, it was about $60 a year, and after you leave EKU, it would be even more. R is something, however, you download it once, you got it for the rest of your days for free. Other than updating it now and then, it's good to go. And so you can use that for the rest of your career, your time here at EKU, and more. Now what we're going to do is talk about how we can use R. You can either download it to your computer or you can use it in the EKU Sociology Lab. Now, the first one is preferable. Download it to your computer, a friend's computer who will let you use their computer at their house or let you rent a laptop from EKU, whatever. But downloading it to a computer somewhere is going to be ideal. I don't think it'll work on a phone. It might work on iPads, I don't know, but feel free to try those things and let me know. That's a preference, though, is to download this onto a computer somewhere that you could use. The other one is that you can use this on the Keith Laboratory computers. It's in the process of being put on there this month. So if you need to use them using the EKU Sociology Lab computers, those are in the Keith building on the first floor, just down the hall from my office. And if you have any trouble using those, let me know. But otherwise, one of these two options will be preferable. Now, if you don't have either of these options available to me, please contact me and we'll work out some other option. Let's talk about downloading this. So first off, we need to download three things. The first one is we're going to download the actual program R. To download R, you can actually go to the links we have here. Now, if you're using a Windows machine, there's a direct link to download this from the CloudR project website, which CloudR project website, the first link has some information about R that you can read through. But if you just want to go straight to the download link, there's a Windows link there, and there's a Mac link there. So you can just download it directly. If you're a Linux user, go to the first link. You don't need my help on any of this. When you install these, you're going to install them just as you would any other program. Just run them through with the defaults, nothing special, and then it's going to put that onto your computer so you can use it. What I suggest is go ahead and do that now. You can pause the video and then come back and unpause this when you're ready to move on. All right, you've unpaused the video, I assume, and now you're ready to move on. So you've downloaded R. You can open R on your computer now if you like, but before you do that, let's download another piece of software that's going to make R even easier to use. And that piece of software is something we call the R Studio. Now, again, I've provided a link to R Studio where you can learn more about the product, or you can go straight to the Windows or Mac downloads. If you're using Linux, just use that first link. You don't need my help. Now, with this piece of software, it's free. It's always going to be free. And it's cool because this was created as something to make R even more intuitive and easy to use. Now, if you use the EKU library computers, it won't have R Studio, but everything that we talk about here today will work. It's just you won't have those intuitive, helpful options that you'll see with our R Studio options. So go ahead and download that. And rather than opening R in the future, always open R Studio. In fact, I suggest saving a link to your desktop or your fastbar or whatever works well for you so that you always open R Studio and save yourself some time. So pause the video while you do that and then unpause it when you're ready to move on to our last easy step. All right, I'm assuming that you're ready to move on. You've unpaused the video. The last thing that we need to do is to get a file from Blackboard. So go into Blackboard, go into our course, go into course documents, and look for a data set that's called Final Grade Prediction Dataset. And you'll download this to your desktop. And keep it there because it's going to be easy for us to use it there. Now, when you download this file, I want to tell you a little bit about what it is. This particular file is a data set that links the score a student received on their final exam to some of the behaviors that we knew about them or that they told us about in a survey across the semester. For example, we have things like the student's final exam score. We have information about how many absences they had. We had information about their cell phone use in class, like did they text a lot or not. We know if they had a job, if they had kids, if they purchased the textbooks, and all sorts of other personal variables, even things like how much coffee did they drink in the 24 hours before they took the final. So we have a lot of cool information about them. This is a data set that we're going to use to learn R. This is a simple and sweet data set that we'll be able to use. And that's actually the final step for this first lecture. So make sure before you start the next lecture that you've downloaded R, you've downloaded R Studio, and you've downloaded our course data set that we're going to use to learn R. Now, if you have any trouble with those three steps, you let me know. If you don't have access to the Keith Computer Labs, let me know. We will find other options. But get in touch with me. I don't read your minds. I'm not telepathic, unfortunately. But do let me know if you have problems because I'm here to make sure that you have the tools that you need to succeed in this. Do note this is a final assignment that we're going to learn how to do by using R is worth a lot of points. So you want to make sure that you do well on it. So get in touch with me and we'll work that out. All right. If you need anything, you know where to find me. Otherwise, I'll see you in our next lecture. Take care.